Guys, I'm gonna level with you. You know we're starting to near the end when I'm doing a Nidorino run. I don't know a single person whose favorite Pokemon is Nidorino or Nidorina. But in 2025, after putting it off for literally like 2 years, I decided just to get all the middle evolutions out of the way. We're almost done. I think we only have 5 left. But yes, of course, today's middle evolution is Nidorino. Now, I know that both Nidoking and Nidoqueen did really good, but unfortunately, I have a feeling Nidorino and Nidorina are going to be far more like their pre-evolved forms, Nidoran male and female, than like their fully evolved forms. I mean, they don't have the ground typing, and their movesets, if we look at them, are far, far more similar to their pre-evolved counterparts. So that's kind of going to suck. Another thing that sucks is if that we were in yellow version, this would be way harder for other reasons, but specifically for Brock, we would have double kick at level 12, as opposed to a very useless double kick at level 50. Why that was a move it could learn at level 50, I will never understand. So that won't be fun for me. But you know what is fun for me? It's the game I always like to play on the go, and there's more content now than ever. When I'm playing the PvP arena mode, one of the champions I hate facing the most, because it's just so good, is Ultimate Death Knight. And you can get it right now for a limited time in joining me in the game, which is sponsoring today's video, Raid Shadow Legends. By using the code UDKING, you can get Ultimate Death Knight. He's basically a massive damage sponge, so you have to attack him. He is incredibly defensive, and he can heal and shield your squad. Like, seriously, whether it's PvP or PvE in the various modes in the game, he is one of the absolute best champions. You're gonna want him. But that's not all that's going on in Raid. By partnering with Paramount, Raid has been able to bring you the most radical crossover, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's right, Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo, and April and Shredder. This is insanely nostalgic, and they all are, of course, legendary champions. There are various methods to collect them, like for Mikey, you just need to log in for 7 days. The promo's available until November 13th, but to collect all of them, you're gonna have to start by October 30th. If that's not enough reason to click my link or scan the QR code, well, there's even more that Raid is offering. You'll get an amazing starter pack, including the epic Chonoru, who's really good. If you reach 15, you'll get Uugo, who's also really good, another amazing epic. And of course, during the collab, logging in for 7 days gets you Michelangelo. But don't worry, you can also get another free legendary. One of them was Ultimate Death Knight, but there are 5 others. I recommend, other than Ultimate Death Knight, Sung Wukong, the Monkey King, using the promo Monkey King. It's only available till October 31st, but really good. To download Raid, click my link in the description or pinned comment and scan the QR code, and you can come find me under the username JRose11 and join my clan, the Tier Listers. It's a fun time, and I hope to see you on the battlefield. Alright, so like with the last few runs, I'm not going to try Brock until I'm sure there's at least a chance of it being decent. Now, we do have Leer, which, if we time right, combined with Horn Attack, we can actually do decent damage to Geodude. I mean, at some point, we kind of just have to start spamming Horn Attack and hoping. It's unfortunate it has Defense Curl. Again, in yellow version, it wouldn't. But you can see we're only at 3 HP for Onix. Actually, we level up and get to 6. Poison Sting, in theory, would be useful. In fact, I go for it a couple times, but really, it's kind of useless. It only does like 1, and Brock has 5 full heals per Pokemon. It also outspeeds Nidorino, although when it attacks poorly, I get the Onix to, I don't know, I'd like to say 60%. Not bad, but not good. I had to level up before I could beat Brock, and of course that took a while, so that's going to hurt Nidorino's final time, but ultimately I decided that +2, or -2 I should say, on the Leers was optimal. I just do so much damage, and then I hope for Tackle. And if everything goes my way, I have plenty of HP remaining for Onix. It goes for Bide, where I hit it with Leer, and then we hit it with some Horn Attacks and do pretty decent damage. I mean, Nidorino has decent attack. Did we show its base stats? I don't know who's editing this, but if we didn't, I mean, Nidorino has pretty good attack. and pretty decent speed. So it's not terrible. I mean, its special is bad, and looking at that moveset again, some of its more interesting moves are going to be special moves, but ultimately, it's much better than a first form Pokemon. I wonder if it would be, if we compared it to them, even though that's unfair, the fastest first form Pokemon. I sincerely doubt that after that Brock battle, but 31 minutes actually isn't that bad. It's usually plus 14 to 17 off a really fast Pokemon, so we can make up that time. I just don't know if Nidorino has the stats, although the typing of Poison type could help us. It's not going to help us versus Rival 2, but Horn Attack at this stage of the game is a very powerful move. Pidgeotto does a lot of damage to us, but I have a feeling after we get by Pidgeotto, nothing will be too bad. Thankfully, not a single Pokemon I go with Squirtle for the Rival because, honestly, it didn't matter and Squirtle has the best defense, but none of the starter Pokemon have a particularly good matchup versus any of the Nidos. Poison Pokemon, it's kind of their thing that they don't have too many weaknesses, especially in Gen 1 where there's just not a lot of ground or psychic Pokemon. So in a sense I was wrong. It did kind of help versus Rival 2, but it's going to help even more in some pretty massive ways. I mean, some of you who've been watching this series know exactly what I'm referring to, but if you're new, welcome, and I'll point it out. I should have nicknamed this Nidorino Patrice because it's breezing on bois this entire... Oh my god, I should edit that out. That was... I thought that... bois doesn't even sound like bye. Like, it's not even... okay, well, if I keep that in, that's just... Anyway, Misty. Misty is coming, and yeah, Misty actually was honestly a little bit easier than I thought it would be. I mean, Bubble Beam, if it crits, is a big deal, but we didn't get a Bubble Beam crit. We did get a Speed Drop and a Water Gun crit, but no Bubble Beam crit is good. By the way, Nidorino can learn Bubble Beam. You may have noticed we had Water Gun. I haven't used it in the video, but to level up in Mount Moon, I battled some hikers with it. So it did get used, and that is, of course, a TM you can get within Mount Moon as soon as you enter. But yeah, I actually have to teach Bubble Beam, but for now, still have Water Gun. Oh gosh, am I gonna lose? Okay, that Drowsy actually can be really annoying if it puts you to sleep, especially for Poison Pokemon, but we're fine. Okay, moving on, we're gonna go battle Rival 3. So, Rival 3, unfortunately, will spell the end for Horn Attack. It served us well, but it's not Body Slam. We have to conserve power points here, because ideally, I'm not going to heal in a Pokemon Center, and I'm going to beat Surge, but I'm going to need enough power points to do that. 6 should be more than enough, so we did pretty well there. The reason why, by the way, I don't want to heal, I've mentioned this in a few runs, but again, in case you're new, the strategy is going to be to dig back to Cerulean City, skipping a bunch of walking and saving time, but we can only dig back to Cerulean if we don't heal in Vermilion. And no, for the 80th time, despite the fact every single time I mention it, people swear this isn't the case, no, there is no healing spot in the SSN. It's Fire Red Leaf Green. The room isn't even there. And in case you think they're just memeing, I mean, they could be, but I have a pretty good sense when someone is memeing versus someone genuinely disagrees with me. I'm telling you, every single time, people genuinely disagree with me. It's insane. Anyway, what else is insane is how bad Lieutenant Surge is at being a gym leader, and we should beat him relatively easily. Screech misses, but Body Slam doesn't one-shot. I go for Poison Sting. Hey, we use that move now. Pikachu, X-Speed, Body Slam one-shots. Raichu goes for Growl and misses. Then Thunderbolt hits, but Body Slam actually was, even though it didn't look like it, a two-shot. And we have Thunderbolt, which is actually a move Nidorino can learn, a very useful move. Of course, this kind of will play into the fact we don't have amazing special, but it will help us in Rock Tunnel versus the Slowpoke trainers, so yay for me. Speaking of Rock Tunnel, everyone's favorite hiker, Whitgag, I just want to show you, isn't an issue because in addition to Thunderbolt, I mentioned this before, but we do have Bubble Beam, and even though it's only a 65 base power move and our special isn't great, it is enough to one-shot every single rock Pokemon. I actually accidentally battled this trainer, but it's not going to be a big deal. I'm going to tell you right now, Nidorino is going to have to level up a little bit more, so an extra battle here, an extra battle there really makes no difference. And the best extra battles are the ones that give you the most experience points that are quickly. Unfortunately, that one didn't count, but mistakes happen. Speaking of mistakes, if you thought that Giovanni 1 was going to be difficult, well then you made a massive mistake, because just like Whitgag, we can go Bubble Beam, And then against Kangaskhan, we got to be a little creative. It goes for Comet Punch, and it's a 4-turner. Actually, Body Slam isn't good, but look how much more Bubble Beam did. Although, wait, no! You'd be right. I made the mistake. No! What? But yeah, special moves are the way to go here. It's not same type attack if I use Body Slam anyway. I don't know why I just went for it. In fact, you also can't... Oh, wow, we're going to lose again. You can't paralyze, by the way. Oh, am I out of Thunderbolts? Why am I not using it? Anyway, we win. That's weird. I'm not sure why I didn't use Thunderbolt there. But anyway, worked. Yes, sorry. So Body Slam is not same type. That is disappointing. If it was, it would be the better move. Also, I'm dreading when we have to use Kangaskhan because that really low special is going to be really, really annoying. But that's a problem for future J-Rose. Current J-Rose is going to go battle Erika, and Erika is going to be pretty easy. We actually made a bit of a pit stop in the Cerulean Pokemart, and there we got Ice Beam. Unfortunately, Ice Beam is not enough to one-shot any of her Pokemon. However, seeing as their best moves are grass moves, it really doesn't matter as they can't do anything to me. So it's just an easy victory. I knew that would be the case, and I will say this. Thus far, Nidorino is doing a really good job, but after we go and crush Rival 4, that's when I think the game will start getting a little more difficult. But let's go see. First off, let's go and beat Rival 4 like I said I would. I'm going to go Thunderbolt here. It one-shots Pidgeotto. And then Growlithe, we can go Bubble Beam, one-shot. Execute, we can go Ice Beam. Look at this move diversity, really good. And then Body Slam, not super effective, but still a one-shot. And Thunderbolt on Wartortle. For the record, we would have Bubble Beam, and then both Ice Beam and Thunderbolt on Charizard. And we would have Ice Beam on Venusaur. So it really didn't matter which one I picked. However, Thunderbolt would be really good against Gyarados. So that's often why I don't like picking not Blastoise, because Gyarados, if you get an electric attack, is just a joke. But I always debate which Pokemon is the hardest to give my rival, because that's the spirit of the game. But unless I change its Pokemon to like Kadabra or something, the rival, at least the starter, is not going to be, other than it being the highest level, the worst Pokemon I'm going to face. Anyway, this is the part of the game I was a little more worried about. We're going to battle Koga. We are also Poison type, but I don't know how much that will help us, if at all. We're going to want to use our special moves here, and I go for Thunderbolt. It is a 2-shot versus Coughing. The crit may have helped. Against Muck, I go for Body Slam. Muck's physical defense isn't as good, but I'm running out of Body Slams, so I have to switch up. Thankfully, Muck went for Poison Gas and actually never attacked me. So that's great. Against Coughing, I go Thunderbolt, get a crit, and then Bubble Beam. And now, as long as it doesn't go for Self-Destruct, I might win. But of course, it did exactly that, and I lose. So I think you can see that the victory here is going to happen if we don't get Self-Destruct. How many times will that take? Oh, well, actually, if we get Smokescreen, that's pretty bad too. So two things, but that's not so bad. Well, I could have done it, but I actually started getting a little frustrated. We can definitely do more damage, and Rival 5 is going to be annoying anyway. So I opted just to go to Silph Company. Unless it's a fully evolved Pokemon, there's going to be a level up period anyway, so might as well make Koga a little faster and more consistent. And there's no way I'm beating Rival 5 now anyways, so what's really the point of rushing through Koga? Sure, we get a little bit of a speed boost, but without a move to boost our stats, that's negligible, and so it's just leveling up here makes sense. And all the leveling up definitely paid off. You see, against Koga, we get now the crit one-shots, but that actually wasn't the big deal. Once we knock out Muck, which takes a while because it's annoying, we get to Weezing at full health, and it immediately goes for Self-Destruct, but I still have HP remaining, which I wouldn't otherwise. So the levels help. Level up is just an overpowered strat, which is why we use in-game time and level to measure these Pokemon, because of course you can win. Well, actually, we've lost a few, and there's still a few more unbeatable runs. I still have to do Metapod before the end of the year. Oh, God, that's going to be so annoying. I have an idea for Metapod, too. Not like, you'll see. I have an idea. I'm going to make the video good. I always make those videos good, and you guys really seem to like those, so I'm going to have to make it, well, hopefully live up to expectations, because after Caterpie, I feel like I have to outdo myself, which is going to be tough. Speaking about doing myself, I talked so long, we made it right to Rival 5. We are currently 7 levels higher. I go for Ice Beam, it goes for Wing Attack, so it doesn't have agility, otherwise it would have to go for it. Then it gets a crit, which sucks. I level up, which is fine. Bubble Beam no longer one-shots, but Leer kind of helps. Against Execute, I go for Ice Beam, that's nice. And then Alakazam, I go for Body Slam, the Leer helped, and the crit helped. And then Blastoise, the crit didn't actually help as much as you think because it only has Bubble and Water Gun. But still, I'll take it. That was a fast and easy victory, so I look pretty good with leveling up when I did, and we didn't have to use the rare candies, which sometimes we do. So I actually might be wrong about Nidorino. It looks really, really good so far. It actually hasn't... Oh, well, as Drowsy uses Psychic, it may have an issue coming up. However, I can skip Sabrina, so it might not be a big deal. Also, picked up the Hyper Potion. Look at me, I'm just speeding through the game. The Carbo, speaking of speed, we're doing really well. And I cannot see Giovanni number 2 being any different. We go Body Slam, it goes Guard Spec, 2-shot. And then for Kangaskhan, I've learned from my mistake, just 2 Thunderbolts is all we need. And then Bubble Beam on Rhyhorn, although Ice Beam would be fine. And then Ice Beam on Nidoqueen because it's just more powerful than Ice Beam. But yeah, we are doing really, really good so far. After leveling up in Blaine's gym, I challenged Blaine. Growlithe can't actually do anything. It has to go for agility, but that's the only free Pokemon we have. Against Ponyta, I go for Bubble Beam, and even after the Super Potion, I don't 2-shot it. I guess I said even, but it did do a little bit of damage to me. Then I go for Bubble Beam. It's going to be a 3-shot at least versus Rapidash, and with these Super Potions, more. But then it goes for Growl, which doesn't help or hurt me. Well, it helps since it's not an attack, and we knock it out with another Bubble Beam. Arcanine misses with Fire Blast, goes for Takedown, and that miss with Fire Blast proved, I would say, pretty consequential. It is a 15% chance to happen, but yeah, I'll take that. I would just reset until we got a battle that it either didn't use Fire Blast or it missed. But now it's time for who might be the toughest gym leader in the entire challenge, Sabrina. I am 10 levels higher, so I outspeed and one-shot Kadabra. Now I am 12 levels higher, and Mr. Mime doesn't attack. Venomoth goes for Leech Life, which is super effective, but only does 16 damage. And Alakazam misses with Psywave, and then I paralyze it. Now, we've talked about this before. Alakazam doesn't actually have Psychic, but Psybeam almost definitely would have one-shot. We have gotten quite lucky with the terrible AI's terrible move selection thus far, but win's a win. We do have 7 gym badges, and Giovanni has been pretty easy so far. I can't see that changing. All right, well, Geo 3-0 time, and we're going to go Bubble Beam on Rhyhorn, enough to one-shot it. This I'm worried about. Yeah, it goes for Dig, and it's not enough to knock me out, but the Body Slam didn't paralyze. Maybe should have gone for Ice Beam. Didn't think that would one-shot it, but it's going to go for Dig. I did not realize Giovanni has good AI. That said, we can put good AI in massive quotation marks. I mean, we should, but it goes for a Guard Spec, and Ice Beam did one-shot. So Doug Trio now not a problem, and neither Nidoqueen nor Nidoking have moves that are capable of knocking me out. Right on, I go for Bubble Beam, and it actually still one-shots, which is crazy. We're at level 51, but there are 6 of the toughest trainers left, and you can see things are starting to get a little dicey. I'm not panicking, actually. I am pleasantly surprised, really pleasantly surprised. However, so many Pokemon have surprised me up to this point, only to get absolutely obliterated by the next few trainers. So that may happen here, but if it doesn't, Nidorino's gonna have a really good time. Well, first up is Rival 6. He leads with Pidgeot, and this Pidgeot is forced to go for agility, so it is of zero concern to me. Rhyhorn, I'm going to one-shot with Bubble Beam, so that is 2 down. Growlithe is also forced to go for agility, so I can knock it out with Bubble Beam. And Execute, I go for Ice Beam, it one-shots. Alakazam, though, Psybeam, doesn't knock me out, but I don't get the paralysis with Body Slam. Now, I know many of you are returning viewers, but in case you're new, we talked about the quote-unquote good AI as I battle Rival 6 for another time. The reason why the Pokemon are forced to go for the moves like Agility is simply because the AI is so rudimentary. It sees Psychic type versus Poison Pokemon super effective, thus go for it every time. But of course, Agility is not a damaging move. So it's really silly, and it's something that we take advantage of all the time. Unfortunately for me, that isn't going to help me versus Alakazam, and I could go for rare candies here, or I could just wait for the 30% chance I get a paralyze. Or so you'd think, because I went back to Celadon Mart and bought some more vitamins. Additionally, I got everyone's favorite cheap move from Generation 1, Mimic. Mimic, I can pick a move and use it, like Agility, and this means I will both outspeed Alakazam, which is pretty important, and I may even do enough damage to it that I one-shot it. Unfortunately, had to give up Bubble Beam, but it's pretty weak anyway, and Ice Beam usually will do the trick. But yeah, I'm hoping we one-shot. We don't, and we got the Paralysis, but due to those agilities, the Psychic wasn't enough to knock me out. And then Blastoise, I actually don't knock it out either because I level up, but Bite is a terrible move, so I'm able to win. Hooray! Of course, and I talk about this every single run, the reason Agility is helping out is due to the Badge Boost glitch, where every time my stats are modified, all my stats are boosted by 12.5%. Does it make sense? No. Is it a glitch? I guess. Do we use it? Yeah, because we technically needed Agility to outspeed Alakazam anyway, and at this point, guys, it's been like 120 videos. I'm not going to justify using it anymore. At this point, I can just say to stay consistent. I feel like at this point, if I abandoned it, it would be pretty bad. Speaking of pretty bad, the Elite Four is notoriously terrible versus poison Pokemon, so this may be easier than I think it's going to be. Against Dugong, it is forced to go for Rest for the same reasons we just talked about with Rival 6, which is great, so we can knock it out with Thunderbolt. Cloyster has bad special, but it goes for Clamp and crits, which is awful, so we're likely going to lose. What I can do to help our chances is Mimic Amnesia from Slowbro. Now, I keep saying this, but it's true. It is forced to go for Amnesia. Unfortunately, though, I do level up, so while my special is high, my speed is not boosted by the Amnesia, thus the Jinx is able to outspeed and knock me out with Body Slam. If I redid my experience points by using a rare candy or something, then I wouldn't have to worry about this. However, it's actually not even necessary, if you can believe it, because as we speed through the battle, it turns out that we can just knock out Jinx with Thunderbolt. Jinx has really high special, so I was surprised by that. But I guess, yeah, +6 maxed out our special. It's enough. I didn't think it would be. Now, we're going to have to use the rare candies soon, because how far can we get? I mean, we can beat Bruno, right? Like, you never lose to Bruno. Against Onix, we're going to go for Ice Beam. Against Hitmonchan, we're going to go for Thunderbolt. The special defense is not a stat yet, so their special is so bad, special moves are the play. In Gen 2, complete opposite, go for physical moves. And then Machamp, it actually doesn't matter what I go for. And thankfully, Submission, its best move, is not very effective, so even though it used it, which it never does, didn't really hurt much. Now is where I should probably be using the rare candies, and thankfully, since Nidorino can only evolve via a Moonstone, I don't need to worry about pressing B every single time I use a rare candy. You guys have no idea how time-consuming and tedious and annoying that is, but I can use the full restore, and Elixir, I am one short on full restores. I don't know why. That might be a problem. Anyway, against Agatha, I go for Ice Beam. She withdraws to Golbat. I go for Ice Beam. Haze actually eliminates my standard badge boost, which is terrible. That's a bug too, by the way, but I'm now 12.5% down what I should be. And that's a problem because Gengar, although it actually cooperates going for Dream Eater, Nightshade, and then missing with Hypnosis, you can see how long it takes me to knock it out. Now, Haunter, I go for Ice Beam, it goes for Nightshade, I go for Thunderbolt, it goes for Dream Eater, we still don't level up, so the glitch isn't resetting. I go for Body Slam on Arbok, it goes for Screech, which has now gotten my stats back to the appropriate level, and then we get a lucky crit. Still don't level up, and this Gengar actually can't put me to sleep, but it can hit with Nightshade, and 2 Nightshades are enough to knock me out. There is an alternate strategy I could use, by the way, and I think I will use it. That kind of sucked. Unfortunately, I messed up and forgot to use the rare candies, and so I just try to basically lose here, not going for my second strat and just using the attacking moves, seeing if we get lucky. And fun fact, so far we're getting really lucky. I mean, Gengar does go for Confuse Ray, and I even hit myself in Confusion, but it hasn't put me to sleep yet, which is the actual problem. Although, since it takes me so long to knock these Pokemon out, I have to be worried about Nightshade as well. Although, Haunter then does exactly what I was worried about, Hypnosis Dream Eater. And I just ruined the run. I saved accidentally in Agatha's room. I had been doing a lot of difficult challenges, and this is against my rules because it allows for luck. Now, I do have emergency plans in case I ever do this, including having everything already recorded on VOD, and I know the tools to be able to edit the in-game timer, the level, the stat experience, everything to basically get it to reset to how it was before. But I didn't feel like doing that, and it's not completely legit. And I figured I needed more levels anyway, and I was right, spoiler alert. So I just lost to Agatha and took the experience points. Now, in watching this back, I have a bit of a question, and I can't seem to understand why I wouldn't do this. Because it's a 4-shot with Ice Beam and Thunderbolt, and we actually got a Gen 1 miss. Why don't I mimic Hypnosis? I mean, I've done it before. I know it's kind of low odds, but I feel like Nidorino is a Pokemon that maybe could have benefited from it. It's hard to say. I mean, I think I lost to Agatha. I might be, well, not counting the times where I was kind of wondering how to get around the fact I saved. And oh, look, there, I'm out of elixirs. See, everything is messed up now. So that's why I was resetting a bunch, but I think I've lost now 4 or 5 times. You've seen 3 of them, I think. But I won't lose to Lance. Telling you right now, Lance I won't lose to, because there are 2 Pokemon that could potentially be a problem. Gyarados, which we just one-shot with Thunderbolt, and then Dragonair is not a problem Pokemon. It doesn't matter, we one-shot it anyway. Aerodactyl is, but we one-shot it. And then Dragonite cannot actually attack me. So as long as I don't knock myself out due to confusion, which I don't, we're going to make it to the champion. Now, if I win on my first try, I'll be a little upset with myself that I kept the experience, but I have a feeling we may not. I'm going to restore the power points of Ice Beam because we're going to need it, but the big question is Alakazam. Alright, so Battle 1, I just go for Thunderbolt because we can't mimic Agility. It doesn't have Agility. It goes for Whirlwind, which is nice, and we can see if we can tank a Psybeam/Psychic. It goes for Psybeam, doesn't crit, but Body Slam doesn't knock it out, and unfortunately, it does get a crit its second turn. I'd love to not reset and keep the levels here. Unfortunately, that would mean losing all my elixirs. And yet, because I was distracted, and I know this has been coming up, I was doing a lot of runs back to back to back at this time, I saved! I can't believe that I saved! I've never made these types of mistakes before. It's been, I guess, after all this time. But that means we don't have any elixirs. That's gonna be a problem. At the very least, we won't have to level up. I mean, we might, but we did a bunch of leveling up in the Elite Four, so could be a little time efficient. Right now, the big question is, how do we get by Alakazam? It sucks that Pidgeot no longer has agility because that would work well, and it sucks that Alakazam, for whatever reason, there are 2 battles in which that Pokemon comes out second. The very first time you see it as an Abra, and the very last time you see it as an Alakazam. Every battle in between, Rival 3, 4, 5, and Rival 6, it is the second to last Pokemon. And if it were the second to last Pokemon here, there are strats I could use. But not when it's the second Pokemon. So frustrating. Well, after staring at the title screen for about 5 minutes and thinking about my options now that I've messed up, I then go battle the Elite Four. You'll see that my power points are different. I have found some PowerPoint ups, which, yes, was a little bit of a time loss, self-inflicted. I know, my bad, but it happens. But, having said that, I actually, with the extra levels, am doing much, much better versus Agatha than I ever have before. And it's actually no longer logical to use Hypnosis, well, against anything but the final Gengar, because with 3 hits, statistically, you're more likely just to knock it out by attacking it. So, I need to be really careful. I need to constantly be looking at my power points. I only have 1 PowerPoint boosting item, but for a little bit of extra power and power points, I can teach Blizzard. This won't make much of a difference versus Lance, but could help versus the champion. I guess we can just talk over the Lance battle. It's not going to be very difficult, but it is interesting that Lance having 3 Pokemon with status psychic moves is just such a joke to these poison Pokemon. It's always so anticlimactic. But here we are, back at the champion, our second attempt with Nidorino. Unfortunately, to get past Alakazam, my level is quite high. I have no more items. This is about as empty as my items have ever been in this challenge. And thankfully, I don't accidentally save. Let's see if attempt 2 goes well, because, man, this has been frustrating. Well, first things first, Blizzard will help versus Pidgeot, and it one-shots. And then I do outspeed. It goes for Psychic instead of Psybeam, but no special drop and no crit. We knock it out. Versus Rhydon, I go for Ice Beam. It one-shots. Arcanine, I go for Body Slam. Roar does nothing. And then I get a crit that's huge. Blizzard, this is why I have it, but it doesn't one-shot. Executor has to go for Hypnosis. Of course it hits. I wake up immediately. It goes for Stomp, and I knock it out. Now I need Thunderbolt to one-shot. It doesn't. Bite, I win! Again! That's the second time it's gone for Bite when it could have knocked me out. And that is Generation 1 for y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed this nonsense, because it is such nonsense. Nidorino ultimately did struggle at the end and had to level up way more than I would have liked, but 74 515 isn't awful by any means. It puts it in the same tier as fully evolved Pokemon like Dugtrio and Muk, and it actually ties both to the minute and level as Fearow, which is pretty funny. Now, I've decided to make just a middle evolution kind of snapshot, so you can see where all the middle evolutions are and where they rank in the overall list. So you can see that among middle evolutions, Nidorino right now ranks 6th, 60th overall. I thought this would be kind of a cool thing to do. Maybe I should do that with the pre-evolved Pokemon, although I like having a completely separate list for those. I'll see. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching, and a big thank you once again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. If you want to join me on the battlefield, remember to click the link or scan the QR code. Take care, everyone.